Shalom, shalom, peace and blessings. Now let's get straight into it. So today's lesson is on Revelation, the book of Revelation, the 19th chapter. And the reason I'm doing this lesson today is really the same reason that I do any lessons in the book of Revelation for the most part, especially after around the third chapter. It's for faith building. And I really enjoy bringing out the scriptures that prove, the doctrine that brothers like myself attempt to show our people, that the Most High, or who the world calls God, is only dealing with the children of Israel. Okay, it's not because of my opinion, but because that's exactly what the book of Revelation, and of course, throughout the entire volume of the book, that's what it tells us. But when you know what you're looking at in the book of Revelation, it becomes, crystal clear. And, the more we're able to see this and be able to discern that, is the more we're able to build our faith. All right. Our faith in the scriptures, our faith in the Most High, and of course, our faith in the Messiah, Yahawashi, who the world calls Jesus Christ. So let's go ahead. Let's jump on in. That's all I pretty much got to say about that. Let's get Revelation, the book of Revelation, chapter 19 and verse 1.
It's the book of Revelations, chapter 19 and verse 1. And after these things, I heard a great voice of much people in heaven saying, Hallelujah, salvation and glory and honor and power unto the Lord our power.
All right. Run that back one more time.
It's the book of Revelation, chapter 19 and verse 1. And after these things, I heard.
And after these things, so it's saying that because this is picking up off of a specific point in a future prophecy. So let's see where this is picking up at in Revelation chapter 19, verse 1. After these things, what are these things? Let's get the book of Revelation, the previous chapter 18, and we'll start at verse 9 because this deserves its own separate breakdown, but let's just go into verse 9 for now.
It's the book of Revelation 18, chapter 8. This is the book of Revelation, chapter 18 and verse 9. And the kings of the earth who have committed fornication and lived deliciously with her shall bewail her and lament for her when they shall see the smoke of her burning.
Okay, verse 10.
Verse 10, standing afar off for the fear of her torment, saying, Alas, alas, that great city Babylon, that mighty city, for in 1 hour is thy judgment come.
So this is those things that verse 1 is referring to in the book of Revelation, the 19th chapter. Okay, so this is after the destruction of the great city of Babylon. Now, Babylon is just a metaphor that the Bible uses to describe what we call today United States of America. Okay. And really, the whole world is becoming Babylonian. This just happens to be the epicenter of it because through the United States of America is where Babylon spreads her fornication. Okay, she spreads her wickedness from here, for the most part, against all nations on planet Earth. All right, so this place has to be destroyed for that. Some of the things that we've been talking about on previous lessons, those types of acts of wickedness. And you see, it says the kings of earth who have committed fornication and lived deliciously with her, because the kings of the earth, that's just referring to the so-called presidents, prime ministers, and really those that are without a name. Because most of the people that rule this earth, they're either ruling it in secret, in plain sight, or they on the back end that you may or may not even know their exact names. Okay, but that's what it means by after these things. Let's get verse 11.
Verse 11. And the merchants of the earth shall weep and mourn over her, for no man buyeth their merchandise anymore.
Okay, so This place is a great center of merchandise or of commerce against all nations on planet Earth. And the merchants of the earth shall weep and mourn over her, for no man buyeth their merchandise anymore. This place is going to be shut down, man. If you read verse 12 and 13, it tells you about the different merchandise or the different exports that this place has that's going to be shut down. And you notice it says, and slaves and souls of men as well. All right, but that's what verse 1 is referring to. We just getting that real quick. Let's get 19 and 1 more time.
Cause the book of Revelation, chapter 19 and verse 1. And after these things, I heard a great voice of much people in heaven saying.
So I heard a great voice of much people in heaven. Now, especially coming from the Christian church and the doctrine that they give you, you would think this is referring to, people that were here on earth that died and they went to heaven and they're kicking it with the Most High. And that's the great voice of much people in heaven that this is referring to, but it's not. Okay, let's get that though. Let's prove that. First, let's go to 1 Corinthians chapter 15, and actually scroll down here. Let's go to verse 50.
The book of 1 Corinthians chapter 15 and verse 50. Now this I say, brethren, that flesh and blood cannot inherit the kingdom of the Most High, neither does corruption inherit incorruption.
Okay, so this is referring to the kingdom here on earth, but there's no flesh and blood with the Most High right now either. When you die, you don't immediately go up there in your body, you don't immediately get judged, and you up there in your same body, up there kicking it with the Most High and the angels, everybody else. That's not how that works. Now, they are in the spirit world, which the scriptures call the chamber of souls. You see that being used, the chamber of souls, I believe in 2nd Esdras, the 4th chapter. All right, your soul goes back to the Most High when you die. It's just your soul, though, not your body. So those voices are not referring to the voices of actual people. You don't get your body back until judgment when Yahawashi comes back. And also, let's just get this real quick. Ecclesiastes chapter 12, verse 7.
Because the book of Ecclesiastes chapter 12 and verse 7. Then shall the dust return to the earth as it was, and the spirit shall return unto the Most High who gave it.
Yeah, so your spirit returns to the Most High after you die, but not in your bodily form. It's just your spirit or your soul, really more accurately, your soul. And that's why, it's just crazy. Science can't really fully break this down, but I think we talked about this once before, but after you die, it's like your body immediately just starts decaying. And it's because your soul is leaving. It's not just because your body and your organs stop working. It's really because your soul has been lifted up. That's what's really caused it to decay at that great rate that it does. You almost immediately start growing cold and start to smell and things of that nature are decaying rather quickly. It's because their soul leaves your body. All right. So what is this referring to then? Heard a great voice of much people in heaven saying, hallelujah. We will talk about that later, the etymology of that, but what is it referring to then? Let's get Revelation chapter 21 and verse 1.
It's the book of Revelation, chapter 21 and verse 1. And I saw a new heaven and a new earth, for the first heaven and the first earth were passed away, and there was no more sea. Okay,
as I was doing this lesson, I ended up wanting to take a little veer off for a second here to explain this verse. So it says, and we have a full lesson on Revelation chapter 21, but as I was going through this, I don't think I explained it in this way. I could have, but I can't remember. It says, and I saw a new heaven and a new earth, for the first heaven and the first earth were passed away, and there was no more sea. So the actual heaven and earth is not actually going to pass away, meaning that the actual earth is just going to be destroyed, and it's going to be a brand new earth. All right, earth abideth forever. I believe it's in Ecclesiastes chapter 1 and verse 4, if I'm not mistaken. I think it's 1 and 4. Yeah, Ecclesiastes chapter 1 and verse 4.
It's the book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 1 and verse 4. One generation passeth away, and another generation cometh, but the earth abideth forever.
Earth abideth forever. So earth is not going to be destroyed. What does it mean by a new heaven and a new earth then? Let's get Sirach chapter 10 and verse 8.
It's the book of Sirach, chapter 10 and verse 8. Because of unrighteous dealings, injuries, and riches got by deceit, the kingdom is translated from one person to another.
Yeah, so it's translated from one nation essentially to another. All right, so that's what that new heaven and a new earth means. Let's get 2 Peter chapter 3 and verse 10.
It's the book of 2 Peter chapter 3 and verse 10. But the day of the Lord will come as a thief in the night, in which the heavens shall pass away with a great noise, and the elements shall melt with fervent heat. The earth also and the works that are therein shall be burned up.
You see, and the works that are there shall be burnt up. So all the wickedness, all the different unrighteous dealings that's going on in the earth are going to be burnt up. It's going to be no more. So it's almost like a whole different earth. I mean, it's going to be ruled under by the Most High. It's going to be under a completely different vibration, because right now, the God of this earth is Satan. Okay, you can read that in Job chapter 9 and verse 24. 2 Corinthians 4 and 4, if I'm not mistaken. The God of this world is Satan. Okay, so in the new earth, in the new heaven, a new rulership is going to be ruled by the Most High and His Son. Okay, let's get verse 11.
Verse 11. Seeing then that all these things shall be dissolved, what manner of person ought ye to be in all holy conversation and goodliness?
Verse 12.
Verse 12. Looking for and hasting unto the coming of the day of God of the Most High, wherein the heavens being on fire shall be dissolved, and the elements shall melt with fervent heat.
So the world is going to end by fire, all right, by different means that the Most High and His Son are going to use to bring that fire upon the earth, like nuclear weapons, all right? However, it's not going to completely burn all the way away. That's not what this is referring to. All right, the heavens being on fire shall be dissolved is not referring to, the heaven where the Most High resides and things of that nature. There will actually be fire, coming out the sky and things of that nature, but not to the point where it's just completely destroyed. That's not what it's referring to. Let's get verse 13.
Verse 13. Nevertheless, we, according to His promise, look for new heavens and a new earth wherein dwelleth righteousness.
You see, in a new earth, it's going to dwelleth righteousness. So it's going to be like a completely new earth. Like, for example, when the flood happened, they called, the other side of the flood, it's like the new earth, or, the new world. You understand? That's just a metaphor for it being renewed. It's more new, like a paint job on a car, and you still had the same car, but it's just completely different versus it being replaced. So it's not a replacement, it's a renewal. Okay. And okay, let's get verse 1 again in Revelation. Oh, did I think Yeah, okay. Let's get verse one more time. Baba Kasha.
Cons, the book of Revelation, chapter 21 and verse 1. And I saw a new heaven and a new earth, for the first heaven and the first earth were passed away, and there was no more sea.
There was no more sea. So this is what I wanted to get to here, just really quickly. There was no more sea. I don't remember going into this in detail, but the no more sea is referring to the nations not being mixed any longer. All right, let's get some more detail. Let's get Revelation chapter 17. And let's start at verse 14.
God, it's the book of Revelation, chapter 17 and verse 14. These shall make war with the Lamb, and the Lamb shall overcome them. For he is Lord of lords and King of kings, and they that are with him are called and chosen and faithful.
Come on, beautiful. Let's get verse 15.
Verse 15. And he saith unto me, the waters which thou sawest where the horse sitteth are peoples and multitudes and nations and tongues.
So you have waters all throughout the scriptures being likened into peoples, multitudes, and nations and tongues. Okay, but when you have waters that combine together, you get a sea or an ocean. The word ocean isn't in the scriptures, if I'm not mistaken. I don't believe it's in there even once. But it's essentially the same thing with a sea. But all the oceans are salt water because rivers, they flow into the ocean. All right, we're gonna get this article really quickly. It says, why is the ocean salty but rivers flowing into it are not? All right, and this right here, it says, I believe this is the line I want. You bring that out.
God, rain replenishes fresh water in rivers and streams, so they don't taste salty. However, the water in the ocean collects all of the salt and minerals from all of the rivers that flow into it.
So all of the rivers or all of the nations flow into here in this melting pot called Babylon, and in all the other nations over the earth. So you have seas now. All right, that makes sense. So all the nations combining together, intermingling together, this causes chaos and confusion because the Most High, he never intended, and when I say never intended, I don't mean that literally, but if things were how they're supposed to be on earth, all the nations will be separate in their own kingdoms. The nations would, mix with each other. They would marry each other and things of that nature, do commerce with each other. But right now, it's not like that. All right, but Yahawashi is going to come and take all that confusion away. Let's get Isaiah chapter 17 and verse 11.
It's the book of Isaiah, chapter 17 and verse 11. In the day shalt thou make thy plant to grow, and in the morning shalt thou make thy seed to flourish. But the harvest shall be a heap in the day of grief and of desperate sorrow.
Verse 12.
Verse 12. Woe to the multitude of many people, which make a noise like the noise of the seas, and to the rushing of nations that make a rushing like the rushing of mighty waters.
So you see that metaphor used again. Again, when all the nations are together, it causes a sea. All right, because the rivers, which would be the nations while they're together, all flowing together. That makes sense. Let's get verse 13.
Verse 13. The nations shall rush like the rushing of many waters, but the Most High shall rebuke them, and they shall flee far off, and shall be chased as the chaff of the mountains before the wind, and like a rolling thing before the whirlwind.
So they tell you at church that, all people are just going to come together, but no, the Most High shall rebuke them, and they shall flee far off. and be chased as the chaff of the mountains before the wind. Let's get Matthew chapter 25 and verse 31.
The book of Matthew, chapter 25 and verse 31. And it reads, when the Son of Man shall come in his glory, and all the holy angels with him, then shall he sit upon the throne of his glory.
Verse 32.
Verse 32. And before him shall be gathered all nations, and he shall separate them one from another, as a shepherd divideth his sheep from his goats.
Yeah, so you see, all the nations are going to be gathered, but they're going to be separated. Now, what's the point of Yahawashi doing this if all nations are equal? If all nations, it doesn't matter who you are. Even nowadays, they tell you your quote unquote sexual orientation doesn't even matter. But, just for this scripture's sake here, if your nation didn't matter, then why is he separating all of us? Why would he even do that? Let's get verse 33.
Verse 33. And he shall set the sheep on his right hand, but the goats on the left.
So the sheep is the elect of Israel, and the goats is everybody else, including the fleshly nation of Israel that, don't keep the statute, laws, and commandments. Okay, so this scripture here is what it means back in Revelation chapter 21, when it says no more sea, because there'll be no more mixing of nations. All the nations won't be destroyed, outside the Edomites. However, they're all going to be separate. Everybody's going to know what nation they're from. So that's what that means. Let's get verse 2, though, to go back to the matter of fact. Let's get. No, we got one enough times. We're going to go ahead and get verse 2 in Revelation chapter 21.
The book of Revelation, chapter 21 and verse 2. And I, John, saw the holy city, New Jerusalem, coming down from the Most High out of heaven, prepared as a bride adorned for her husband.
So this is what is referring to back in Revelation chapter 19, where it says here, and I heard a great voice of much people in heaven. So this is referring to the third heaven where the Most High resides. This is something else that we covered before. This is referring to the elect that gets beamed up in the chariots. Okay. So that's why it says coming down from the Most High out of heaven. Okay, let's get that though. Get a classic again. Let's get 1 Thessalonians, and we can start at verse 15.
It's the book of 1 Thessalonians, chapter 4 and verse 15. For this we say unto you by the word of the Most High, that we which are alive and remain unto the coming of the Lord shall not prevent them which are asleep.
Let's get verse 16.
Verse 16. For the Most High himself shall descend from heaven with a shout, with the voice of the archangel, and with the trump of the Most High, and the dead in Hamashiach shall rise first.
So the elect that were dead are going to rise first when Yahawashi comes back. Okay, this is important to know. This is important to understand what's going to happen when Yahawashi comes back, so we can piece together these pieces here and see what's going on. Also better discern in times when what's actually going to go down. So for the Lord himself shall descend from heaven with the shout and the voice of the archangel, with the trump of the Most High, and the dead in Hamashiach shall rise first. So let's get verse 17.
Verse 17. Then we which are alive and remain shall be caught up together with them in the clouds to meet the Lord in the air, and so shall we ever be with the Most High.
All right. So you see, that's exactly what's going on here, because you have the destruction of Babylon. You have the destruction of the wicked. Actually, essentially, you have the destruction of the wicked, what the scriptures call in Revelation chapter 20, the first death. All right, when Yahawashi comes back, or judgment day, or the day of the Lord. Okay, you have that going down, but with all that fire, the fervent heat that we read about in 2 Peter chapter 3, the elect would get burnt up if I was about to say we, but not as in me, our people. If the children of Israel, the elect, if they were down there, they would get burnt up with the fervent heat down there. So Yahawashi is going to reserve the elect, beam them up in the clouds. And when it says clouds here, this is really referring to the chariots. All right. So he's going to beam up the elect in the clouds, or the chariots, which is going to be in heaven, be in the second heaven, where the sky and the actual clouds and things of that nature, all right, to meet with Yahawashi in the air. Okay, so when it says here, I heard a great voice of much people in heaven, the elect is going to be rejoicing seeing the destruction of this place, man. All right, because after all the tribulations and things of that nature that the elect is going to go through, they're going to want to see this place destroyed. All right, because they're going to know that the kingdom comes at that point. So they're going to be ready and willing. We're going to talk about that later, being ready. All right, salvation and glory and honor and power unto the Lord, our power. So that's what it means there when it says, I heard a great voice of much people in heaven. That's referring to the elect, not in the third heaven. After the destruction, we read that in Revelation chapter 18, after the destruction of Babylon, all right, with the fervent heat, Yahawashi is going to beam up the elect, and the elect are going to be shouting with a great voice of much joy and glory and honor and power going to Yahawashi HaMashiach. So hopefully that's not too complicated. Let's get verse 2.
Verse 2. For the true and righteous are his judgments, for he have judged the great whore, which did corrupt the earth with her fornication, and have avenged the blood of his servants at her hand.
So we have to realize, when you're in the Christian church, since they make everything out to be all good, especially in most churches, there's some churches that they go a lot deeper than like your average quote unquote Baptist and things of that nature. Because some of these Christians nowadays, they actually read a little bit. They know more than the average person for sure. But most people don't. And so when you hear something like this being brought out, it may cause cognitive dissonance, because you like, man, not my God, he wouldn't destroy this place and do all that. But you have to realize that the Most High's judgments are true and righteous, man. For all that's going on, it's all justified. All the destruction, essentially the death that's the death that's going to happen, it's all justified, man. Let's get 2 Thessalonians chapter 1 and verse 5.
It's the book of 2 Thessalonians chapter 1 and verse 5, which is a manifest token of the righteousness and judgment of the Most High. That ye.
Let's get verse 4 first.
Verse 4. So that we ourselves glory in you, in the churches of the Most High, for your patience and faith and all your persecutions and tribulations that ye endure.
So for all the persecutions and tribulations that are brought upon on the elect, and not just the elect that will be remaining alive, but all of the saints, all of the apostles, all of the prophets, all of the other great men of the Lord that were persecuted and killed just for believing in Yahweh by Hashem Yahawashi. Understand? So it's all justified, because that's all innocent blood. And the Most High is righteous and his beloved being persecuted and slain. All right, let's get verse 5 now.
Verse 5. which is a manifest token of the righteous judgment of the Most High, that ye may be counted worthy of the kingdom of the Most High, for which ye also suffer.
A token is a sign. So it's a manifest sign of the righteous judgment of the Most High. It's all righteous. Okay, let's get verse 6.
Verse 6. Seeing it is a righteous thing with the Most High to recompense tribulation to them that trouble you.
Okay, that's the wicked of the society. Okay, Satan, and who Satan is and is working through in this last kingdom is the so-called white man. When I say the so-called white man, I'm referring to the elect. And, anybody else that it applies to, really. So when I say that, I'm not saying that it don't apply to anybody else outside of who they call to be the quote unquote. Did I say elect? I didn't mean to say elect. If I did say that, I meant the elite, the quote unquote elite of the society, the one that actually pull the strings of this world right now, currently. But that's to them that trouble you. Those that put out the wicked diversions, those that put all the different stumbling blocks to the so-called black man and woman won't know who their God is. Okay, how they use Christianity to keep us low. They didn't create Christianity as a religion, but they dang sure is using it right now. All right, and everything else, putting all the different agendas out, homosexuality, transgenderism, so on and so forth. All right, that's troubling our people. Let's get verse 7.
Verse 7. And to you who are troubled, rest with us, when the Lord Yahawashi shall be revealed from heaven with his mighty angels.
And another way they're troubling us is, and this kind of goes to what I was just saying, is just hiding our heritage. Our history isn't lost, but it's definitely being hidden to the best of their ability. And when we don't understand who you are and where you come from, you don't have a future either. All right. And our people, we have no idea where we came from, who we are, who our power is, or what we're supposed to be doing here. You talk to 5 different so-called black people, and they got 5 different, spiritual belief systems. One of them is in the Kemet, one of them is in the church, one of them atheist, one of them agnostic, another one is a Muslim. We just all over the place. All right, and that takes us away from our power. So all of this going on is all done on purpose, and trillions of dollars has been spent to keep the so-called black man and woman low. I thought somebody had something to say. But let's get verse 7.
Verse 7. And to you who are troubled, rest with us, when the Lord Yahawashi shall be revealed from heaven with his mighty angels. In flaming fire, taking vengeance on them that know not the Most High, and that obey not the gospel of our Lord Yahawashi Hamashiach.
It's all justified, man. This is a righteous judgment. The flaming fire, that fervent heat, the vengeance on them that know not the Most High, it's all righteous. So don't you dare look at the Most High and read the scriptures and, do we have to do this to other nations? Yes. Okay. Let's get verse 9.
Verse 9. Who shall be punished with everlasting destruction from the presence of the Lord and from the glory of his power?
The glory of his power shall be punished with everlasting destruction. You know what that means? It means once you're gone, you're not coming back. That's everlasting destruction. All right. Let's get verse 10.
Verse 10. When he shall come to be glorified in all his saints, and to be admired in all them that believe, because our testimony among you was believed in that day.
Because our testimony among you was believed in that day. We're going to talk about testimony a little bit later on here, but yeah, man, it's all justified. I wanted to talk about that for a moment because I know how our people have been trained in these churches. Okay. That's why we never can believe the true doctrine of the scriptures, because we've been taught that we're supposed to be, kisses and hugs with all nations of people and things of that nature. But the Most High is not dealing like that. Okay, let's get verse 2 one more time.
God, the book of Revelation, chapter 19, and verse 2. For true and righteous are his judgments, for he hath judged the great whore, which did corrupt the earth with her fornication, and hath avenged the blood of his servants at her hand.
You have to avenge the blood of his servants at her hand. Okay, again, you see the metaphor of the great whore. All right, that's the same strange woman that we read about in Proverbs chapter 2. All right, the whore of Babylon. She's called a whore because she commits fornication with all nations, meaning all men. It's like a harlot, a woman that just sleeps with every man she can. Okay, all men. That's essentially what this place, United States of America, is. But the world in general, all right, is becoming Babylonian, because that's the whole doctrine of the planet Earth right now. Do as thou wilt. All right, that's where Nike gets, do it from. Do as thou wilt. Okay. And that's why they had the United Nations and NATO and things of that nature. Okay, so all nations could come together, and they're really trying to, keep the children of Israel downtrodden. But you see, hath avenged the blood of his servants at her hand. Let's get Luke chapter 18 and verse 7.
The book of Luke, chapter 18, and verse 7. And shall not the Most High avenge his own elect, which cry day and night unto him, though he bear along with them?
To get the full understanding, you got to read this parable, but we don't have time to read, verse 1 through 6. Verse 1 through 6. But the Most High is going to avenge his own elect, man, which cry day and night unto him, though he bear along with them. Let's get verse 8.
Verse 8. I tell you that he will avenge them speedily. Nevertheless, when the Son of Man cometh, shall he find faith on the earth?
When Yahawashi comes back, shall he find faith on the earth? Is anyone even still going to believe? All right, only the elect. Only the elect, man. So that's his servants that we just read about, is the elect that the Most High sending his son to come avenge. All right, his servants. And let's pull up classic so we know who the servants are, just in case somebody's newer. Let's get Leviticus chapter 25 and verse 55.
It's the book of Leviticus, chapter 25 and verse 55. For unto me the children of Israel are servants.
They are said all nations.
The children of Israel are servants. They are my servants who I brought forth out of the land of Egypt. I am the Lord your power.
When you see different words in the scriptures like neighbors, saints, servants, even prophets for the most part, these are all titles given to the children of Israel that, weren't for everybody else, all the other nations, especially servants. Okay, that's referring to the children of Israel. Slakia, there we go. All right. So let's get verse 3.
This is the book of Revelations, chapter 19, and verse 3. And again they said, Hallelujah, and her smoke rose up forever and ever.
Okay. So, and her smoke rose up forever and ever. So this great whore, Babylon, all right, she burning, man. She burning. Her smoke rose up forever and ever. What does that mean? Her smoke rose up forever and ever. Does that mean that you're going to have an actual woman, that's just smoking up forever and ever? Anytime you go see her, in the kingdom, it's 100,000 2,000 years later, and she's still over there just smoking up forever and ever? Is that what that means? Let's get Isaiah chapter 34 and verse 1.
The book of Isaiah, chapter 34 and verse 1. Come near, ye nations, to hear, and hearken, ye people. Let the earth hear, and all that is therein, the world, and all things that come forth of it.
All right, the nations, come here. Let's get verse 2.
Verse 2. For the indignation of the Most High is upon all nations, and his fury upon all their armies. He hath utterly destroyed them. He hath delivered them to the slaughter.
So when you read the scriptures, you start to realize that a lot of the different prophecies that you read about in the quote unquote Old and New Testament, of course in Apocrypha as well, is all referring to some of the same events. Just certain accounts just give you more detail in certain areas and things of that nature, but it really all comes down to some of the same prophecies. Really, it's just all about piecing it together so you know what's going on here. Let's pick up at verse 8 now.
Verse 8. For it is the day of the Most High's vengeance, and the year of recompense for the controversy of Zion.
Yeah, for how all nations have treated the children of Israel. Let's get verse 9.
Verse 9. And the streams thereof shall be turned into pitch, and the dust thereof into brimstone, and the land thereof shall become burning pitch.
So not to go too far into detail when we're going off the topic, but this is describing the same event that we just read about, in Revelation chapter 19, of course, and 2 Peter chapter 3, and 2 Thessalonians chapter 1. Let's get verse 10.
Verse 10. It shall not be quenched night nor day. The smoke thereof shall go up forever. From generation to generation it shall lie waste. None shall pass through it forever and ever.
Okay, so we seen this again. We seen an eternal smoke. Okay, smoke thereof shall go up forever. So, what does that mean? Now, you have to think about it. Smoke is a byproduct of fire. So when you have fire, you have smoke, essentially. It's a byproduct. All right, even when the fire is finished, you oftentimes still have smoke there that remains. And this is what is a metaphor for, after this place is destroyed with fire, the byproduct or the after effect of that destruction is going to be, forever and ever. It's going to be eternal. It's not literally going to be smoking in Babylon forever. From a standpoint, it's going to be literal smoke. But the damages and what's going to happen, the byproduct, just like smoke is a byproduct of fire, the byproduct of this destruction is going to be permanent. Okay? Because, Babylon won't be inhabited by man anymore. If you read the rest of this chapter, where else is it at? I think in Revelation 14. I got that pulled up. No, I ain't got that pulled up. I think it's in Revelation 14 as well. Let's get Revelation chapter 14 and verse 11.
The book of Revelation chapter 14 and verse 11. And the smoke of their torment ascendeth up forever and ever, and they have no rest day nor night, who worship the beast and his image, and whosoever receiveth the mark of his name.
So whosoever worship the beast is, this society, this system, this philosophies, this doctrines, okay? Everything that's on the left-hand path. And what's on the left-hand path? If it's not about following the statute, laws, and commandments of the Most High, then it's worshiping the beast, because there is no in-between. You either right or you left, you either here or you gone. So the smoke of that torment that ascended up forever and ever, again, it's that byproduct, okay? Because Babylon won't be inhabited anymore after this destruction. It's going to be, wild birds and things of that nature. You read that in where we just had in Isaiah chapter 34. But to the point about smoke, though, that's what that means. Okay, the damage is going to be seen forever, not literal smoke, though. Matter of fact, since we're here, let's get verse 12.
Come on, verse 12. Here is the patience of the saints. Here are they that keep the commandments of the Most High and the faith of Yahawashi.
So if we don't want to be a part of that torment and have no rest day and night, then this is what we have to do. Keep the commandments of the Most High, have faith in Mashiach Yahawashi. Okay. Don't let the church tell you that the law is done away with. Here in the quote unquote New Testament is telling you the same thing, to keep the commandments of God, right? So don't let them tell you that. It's nonsense. And they're trying to get you destroyed, to be honest. Let's get verse 4.
Come, the book of Revelation, chapter 19, and verse 4. And the 24 elders and the 4 beasts fell down and worshiped the Most High that sat on the throne, saying, Amen, Alleluia.
Council, the 24 elders and the 4 beasts fell down and worshiped the Most High. Now, the 24 elders, which is just 24, the 24 elders, unless brothers know, I've not seen anything in the scriptures that give the full account of who these 24 elders are. And everything won't be revealed to us in this time, in this time that we're in right now anyways. So we just know these are 24 elders. All right, who exactly they are is not even important right now for us to know. But the 4 beasts, which fell down and worshiped the Most High, we do have a couple accounts of who the 4 beasts are. Normally, you see 4 beasts is referring to the 4 different kingdoms, like in Daniel, the 7th chapter, so on and so forth. But this is talking about a different 4 beasts. Let's get Revelation chapter 4. I believe it's like somebody has something to say. Oh, con. Okay, I believe it's right here. Let's start verse 5.
Comes the book of Revelation, chapter 4, and verse 5. And out of the throne proceeded lightnings and thunderings and voices, and there were 7 lamps of fire burning before the throne, which are the 7 spirits of the Most High.
Okay, I don't want to get off topic, so let's just keep going.
Verse 6. And before the throne there were a sea of glass like unto crystal, and in the midst of the throne and round about the throne were 4 beasts full of eyes before and behind.
So this is the 4 beasts. Let's get the description on verse 7.
Verse 7. And the first beast was like a lion, and the second beast like a calf, and the third beast had a face as a man, and the 4th beast was like a flying eagle. So
you have different types of angels that comes in different forms. All right, you read about certain angels in Isaiah, the 1st chapter. All right, you read about certain angels that take on the full form of man. They're almost indistinguishable from a man. You also read about these 4 beasts. One was like a lion, the second was like a cow. All right, the third had the face of a man, the 4th was like a flying eagle. Okay, but these 4 beasts actually have a very specific job. Let's get verse 8.
Verse 8. And the 4 beasts had each of them 6 wings about him, and they were full of eyes within, and they rest not day and night, saying, Holy, 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 Lord Yahweh Almighty, which was and is to come.
That's how bad the Most High is, man. He's got these 4 beasts, these 4 angelic beasts with 6 wings that just praise him day and night. And they rest day and night, saying, Holy, 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 Lord Yahweh Almighty, which was and is to come. Okay. because the Most High can do that. Let's get verse 9.
Verse 9. And when those beasts give glory and honor and thanks to him that sat on the throne, who liveth forever and ever.
Okay, so those beasts give glory and honor and thanks to him that sat on the throne, who liveth forever and ever. So that's their purpose. That's what they do day and night. So that's the four beasts. Just if you need some precepts, and it's also in Isaiah chapter 6, these four beasts, if I'm not mistaken, as well. Let's get verse 5.
The book of Revelation, chapter 19 and verse 5. And a voice came out of the throne saying, praise our power, and ye his servants, and ye that fear him, both small and great.
Okay, praise our power. We're supposed to be doing that now. All ye his servants, the children of Israel, ye that fear him, that keep the commandments, both small and great. Because the small and great, man, the small are going to be like, King David in these days. All right, let's get the book of Zechariah, chapter 12 and verse 8.
The book of Zechariah, chapter 12 and verse 8. In that day shall the Lord defend the inhabitants of Jerusalem, and he that is feeble among them at that day shall be as David, and the house of David shall be as a power, and the angel of the Most High before them, Slaki.
It's funny you read it that way, because that's exactly how I read it. So the feeble and the small is going to be as, David. And we know how mighty a warrior that David was. Okay, defeating Goliath, being a leader of many troops against many nations, defeating them. And the house of David is essentially going to be like angels of the Lord, man. So that's what it says, the small and great. So it's not going to matter your stature and everything is not going to matter anymore. Okay, both small and great. All right, if you've chosen to be a part of the elect, then it's on either way. All right, let's get verse 6.
The book of Revelation, chapter 19 and verse 6. And I heard as it were the voice of a great multitude, and as the voice of many waters, and as the voice of mighty thundering, saying, Hallelujah, for the Lord Yahweh omnipotent reigneth.
Omnipotent means almighty, all powerful. It's nothing that the Most High can't handle. He has full control of everything. Okay. Let's give verse 7.
Verse 7. Let us be glad and rejoice and give honor to him, for the marriage of the Lamb is come, and his wife have made herself ready.
Okay, let us be glad and rejoice and give honor to him, for the marriage of the Lamb is come. Okay, his wife have made herself ready. Who is the Lamb? That's Yahawashi. And who is his wife? That's the children of Israel. Okay, it's not all nations that's coming together to form the wife, because remember, we read in Matthew, the 25th chapter, around the 33rd verse, 32 to 34 or so, that all the nations are going to be separated. So they just going to come back together again and form, this mixed nation that's going to form Yahawashi's wife, parabolically speaking. No, this is referring to the children of Israel. Okay, more specifically, the elect. Now let me get Jeremiah. Jeremiah 6 and 2 first. Let's get Jeremiah 6 and 2.
It's the book of Jeremiah, chapter 6 and verse 2. I have likened the daughter of Zion to a comely and delicate woman.
Okay, let's get Jeremiah chapter 3 and verse 14.
The book of Jeremiah, chapter 3 and verse 14. Turn, O backsliding children, saith the Most High, for I am married unto you, and I will take you.
So the Most High married the children of Israel, okay, that comely woman, that lovely and comely woman being the children of Israel. All right. And marriage, again, that's a metaphor or a parabolic, is hip talk for how the Most High established a covenant. You know, when you're married, you establish a covenant, essentially. So the Most High and his son established a covenant with the children of Israel. We know that Moses was the mediator of the first covenant, and Yahawashi is the mediator of the second covenant. All right. And it's parabolic because you just got to think about it. You know, different similitudes between a marriage, you know, and what our relationship that we have with the Most High. All right. The wife and husband love each other, right? Both are willing to sacrifice. And furthermore, really, it's a spiritual marriage, and that's the real marriage that matters, you know, especially like in this society right now. All right, but Yahawashi only has one wife, and that's one nation of people, the children of Israel. Okay. It's not just anybody who, quote unquote, Jesus loves and things of that nature. It doesn't work like that. Thus said the Lord. It's not me speaking here. Let's get Sirach chapter 26 and verse 2.
The book of Sirach, chapter 26 and verse 2. And it reads, a virtuous woman rejoiceth her husband, and he shall fulfill the years of his life in peace.
So a virtuous woman, aka the children of Israel, the elect, rejoiceth her husband, aka Yahawashi. And again, this is parabolic. He shall fulfill the years of his life in peace. Let's get verse 3.
Verse 3. A good wife is a good portion, which shall be given in the portion of them that fear the Most High.
So a lot of times when you look at different scriptures pertaining into a virtuous wife or even a wicked wife, okay, you can see the similitudes there between the spiritual covenant, well, really a spiritual covenant even between us, and also spiritually speaking between us and Yahawashi. Okay, Israel is the wife, okay, that delicate and comely woman. Now also, let's go back here for a second. It says, and his wife hath made herself ready. Now this is, you know, something we can't sleep on, because, you know, a wife, when it comes to a marriage, man, she's going to get ready. She's going to put on her best dress. She's going to have her hair done the best, you know, wear her best jewelry, her favorite shoes, or mostly all this stuff that she going to wear is going to be brand new. And she's going to take a lot of time to pick it out. She's going to get ready for the marriage. And that's representative of the children of Israel making themselves ready for Yahawashi's return. Let's get the book of Sirach, chapter 39, and let's get verse 31.
The book of Sirach, chapter 39 and verse 31. They shall rejoice in his commandment, and they shall be ready upon the earth when need is. And when their time is come, they shall not transgress his word.
Okay, they shall rejoice in his commandment. That's how you get ready for Yahawashi's return. That's how you make yourself ready. And they shall be ready upon earth when need is. So that's the thing. Like if you read anything in a book of Revelation, of course, all throughout the scriptures, but just specifically speaking now, you read anything in a book of Revelation and, you know, that's kind of turn you off. You're like, oh man, I don't know if I want to be a part of that. Then you're not going to be ready. Okay. The elect, who Yahawashi chooses, you know, himself, they're going to be ready. They shall be ready upon earth when the need is. Because we don't know when Yahawashi coming back. But when the need is, you know, the elect going to be ready. When the time has come, they shall not transgress his word. So sheep is going to follow the shepherd, okay, whithersoever he goeth. Let's get 2 Corinthians chapter 11 and verse 2. It's
the book of 2 Corinthians chapter 11 and verse 2. For I am jealous over you with godly jealousy, for I have espoused you to one husband, that I may present you as a chaste virgin to Hamashiach.
You see that? It's only one husband, that being Yahawashi, and there's only one wife. Okay, that's the children of Israel who Paul was speaking to. Okay, and that's how you make yourself ready as well. You make yourself as a chaste virgin into Hamashiach, meaning what? Undefiled. Okay, not literally a virgin from the standpoint of never having sexual intercourse, but spiritually undefiled, meaning you don't take on different doctrines of the world, the doctrines of men. You're not worried about any of these religions. Okay, you're not worried about Christianity and Islam and chematology, if that's what they call it, Egyptology, whatever they call that nonsense. Okay, you ain't worried about that. You're undefiled. Your only doctrine is the scriptures. Okay. Let's get Matthew chapter 24 and verse 42.
The book of Matthew chapter 24 and verse 42. Watch therefore, for ye know not what hour your Lord doth come.
Verse 43.
Verse 43. But know this, that if the good man of the house had known in what watch the thief would come, he would have watched and would not have suffered his house to be broken up.
Okay, come verse 44.
Verse 44. Therefore be ye also ready, for in such an hour as ye think not, the Son of Man cometh.
So that's why we have to be ready. Okay, because we don't know when Yahawashi is coming back. Okay, and if you did know, you would try to get ready at the last minute. You know, for our people that don't believe right now, I always make this distinction because I think it's necessary. Some of our people, you know, they don't have a clue. They haven't been told. They the children of Israel. They still listen and hearken into the lies. But really, when you get past a certain age, you've probably been exposed to the truth at least once. But either way, say for those that have been exposed to the truth, we, you know, they watching this lesson right now, or, you know, we got family and friends that we try to tell the truth. Even those people, if they knew Yahawashi was coming back, they'd be running up on you trying to figure out, you know, what to do. Oh, what commandment I got to keep? Now how to do this? How, you know, so Yahawashi don't want anybody like that. Okay, so we got to be doing the work right now before we know when Yahawashi is coming back, because we don't know what hour. He don't even know. Okay, only the Most High knows. All right, so that's what it means by the wife have made herself ready, because a wife is going to prepare before the marriage comes. You know, what bride is going to wait to the day of to start preparing? You know, she ain't even got her shoes together. She ain't got her dress together. She don't know how she gonna do her hair. She don't know who she's gonna invite. She waiting to the day of or the day before. That would never happen. So the wife, the children of Israel, you know, have to prepare themselves, you know, right now and make haste to do so by keeping the statute, laws, commandments, and having faith into Hamashiach Yahawashi. All right, let's get verse 8.
It's the book of Revelation, chapter 19, and verse 8. And to her was granted that she should be arrayed in fine linen, clean and white, for the fine linen is the righteousness of saints.
Let's get, I know we about to wrap up here. Let's get Isaiah chapter 61 and verse 10.
The book of Isaiah, chapter 61 and verse 10. I will greatly rejoice in the Most High. My soul shall be joyful in my power, for he hath clothed me with the garments of salvation. He hath covered me with the robe of righteousness, as a bridegroom decketh himself with ornaments, and as a bride adorneth herself with her jewels.
So let's look here. So it says here in verse 8, and to her was granted that she should be arrayed in fine linen, clean and white, For the fine linen is the righteousness of saints. So spiritually speaking, this garment, this fine linen that's clean and white, white being undefiled, which is why the so-called white man has labeled himself as white. And if you look up the word black, it means darkness and sin and things of that nature. Because if he was really prescribed to a color, it would be red. But anyway, so don't think of the so-called white man when you see white. This is not referring to anything of that extent. But anyway, should be arrayed in fine linen, clean and white. For the fine linen is the righteousness of the saints. So that's referring to the garment spiritually, because the elect is going to be covered by the Most High and His Son, okay, with salvation, with righteousness, okay, and a garment, parabolically speaking here, or well, just in the physical, it covers you, it protects you, it keeps you warm, so you aren't naked, aka exposed, all right, in sin. So that's what the garment represents on the spiritual level. You understand? And the elect is going to be arrayed in fine linen, clean and white, undefiled, going to be covered with salvation. All right. And from verse 9 on down, we can go into that. We can do a part 2, go into that from there. So yeah, this is Revelation chapter 19. We just going and breaking down the verses here and seeing what we can piece together through the precepts. So that's it into part 2. Shalom.